It's late, the house is quiet, and the only sound is the frantic beating in your own chest. The numbers on the banking app glow back at you, a stark digital judgment. A simple expected bill has become a monster in the dark, and the feeling that rises is not just anxiety, but a profound, quiet shame. A wave of heat rushes to your face as you remember the cashier's polite, pitied smile just hours before. "I'm sorry, it's been declined." In that moment, you are not just out of funds. You feel fundamentally out of control, a passenger in your own life. We have all been there, in one form or another, staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., haunted by a purchase we couldn't afford but made anyway, feeling a pang of bitter envy as we scroll past a friend's triumphant post about a new home, a new car, a life that seems to be accelerating while ours is stuck in the mud. We tell ourselves the problem is external, a low salary, bad luck, a volatile market. But what if the chaos isn't out there in the world, but inside us? What if our most costly financial errors are not mathematical, but emotional? There is a promise whispered to us from the moment we begin to understand the world. Financial success will grant you a ticket to a better life. It promises freedom, respect, and a quiet mind. But for so many of us, the pursuit itself creates the opposite. It breeds a chronic, low-grade anxiety, a constant comparison, a feeling of never having enough. We perform our success with purchases meant to signal our worth, yet we are left with the hollow echo of an overdrawn account and the nagging fear that we are perpetual imposters in the game of wealth. This chase is exhausting. It's a race where the finish line constantly moves, pushed further away by every advertisement, every lifestyle influencer, every casual conversation about investment gains. The obstacles are not just the market downturns or unexpected expenses. The true barriers are internal. The voice that says you are behind, the deep-seated belief that your self-worth is tethered to your net worth, and the relentless, gnawing anxiety that you are doing it all wrong. We are taught to manage money, but no one ever teaches us how to manage our minds around money. The real problem, we must first understand, is not the balance in your account. It is not the dip in the stock market or the friend's new luxury car. The problem is the story you tell yourself about these things. The ancient Stoics knew this well. As Epictetus taught, we are disturbed not by events, but by the views which we take of them. An event is simply data. The market fell 2%. Your judgment is what creates the suffering. I am losing everything. I am a failure. I will never be secure. The event is external and uncontrollable. Your judgment is internal, and with practice entirely within your control. Think back to the last time you felt a sharp sting of financial envy. Perhaps a colleague announced a promotion, or you saw a vacation photo online that made your own life feel small and gray. The event itself was neutral, another person's life unfolding. But the interpretation, the story you instantly created, was one of lack, of personal inadequacy. This story is what triggered the impulse to look up expensive flights you couldn't afford, or to browse for status symbols to soothe the inner wound. This is our first task then, not to earn more or to find the perfect investment, but to become a conscious observer of our own minds. For the next week, try this simple but revolutionary practice. When you feel a strong financial emotion, fear, greed, envy, don't act. Simply pause. Take out a piece of paper. On one side, write down the objective event. I saw an ad for a new watch. On the other, write the story you told yourself. Having that watch would make me feel successful and respected. In that space between event and story, you will find your power. Now that we can see the gap between an event and our judgment of it, a critical question arises. How do we widen that gap in the heat of the moment? How do we build a moment of calm reflection when our very biology is screaming at us to act on impulse? The next step is to construct the most essential tool for this work, a mental buffer against our own worst instincts. This tool is called cognitive distancing. It is the practice of observing your thoughts and feelings about money without becoming them. You are not the storm of panic in your chest. You are the sky that holds the storm. You are not your desire for a new gadget. You are the consciousness that notices the desire. As Marcus Aurelius would advise, we must break things down into their component parts, stripping them of the grand, emotional names we give them. A luxury car becomes metal, plastic, and rubber, assembled in a factory. The desire becomes less potent. Imagine yourself scrolling online late at night. A timer is counting down on a limited time offer. Your heart rate quickens. Your mind screams that if you don't act now, you will miss out forever. This is the moment to practice. Instead of clicking buy, you mentally take a step back and narrate what is happening as if you were a neutral scientist. I am noticing a feeling of urgency in my chest. I am observing the thought that this is my only chance. It is just a thought, not a command. This is more than just a mind game. It is a profound act of self-liberation. You are reclaiming your agency from automated conditioned responses. To make this practical, you can implement a simple rule. A mandatory 72-hour waiting period for any non-essential purchase over a certain amount, say $100. Let the emotion pass. Let the urgency fade. You will be astonished at how few of these must-have items still feel necessary after 3 days of quiet consideration. The impulse is a fleeting guest. You don't have to let it redecorate your house. Observing our thoughts gives us control over our actions. But what about the deeper, more primal emotions that drive our financial lives? Especially the paralyzing fear of loss. It lurks in the background of every decision. To master our money, we must confront this fear directly. In our next step, we will learn a counterintuitive Stoic technique to not just face this fear, but to neutralize its power over us. The practice is called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. It sounds grim, but it is one of the most powerful tools for building tranquility. By periodically and calmly imagining negative financial outcomes, we inoculate ourselves against the panic and terror they might otherwise cause. Seneca argued that the man who has anticipated trouble robs it of its power when it arrives. We don't do this to wallow in anxiety, but to rehearse our resilience. Take a moment. Sit quietly for 5 minutes and visualize a significant financial setback. Perhaps you lose your job. Perhaps an investment you made goes to zero. Don't just think the thought. Truly imagine it. What would be the first thing you would do? You would update your resume. You would cut your expenses. You would call on friends or family for support. You would realize, perhaps for the first time, how many resources you truly have that are not monetary. You would discover that while the event would be difficult, it would not be the end of you. Your skills, your relationships, your character, your ability to think and adapt, these are your true assets, and they cannot be taken from you by a market crash. The fear of loss is almost always more painful than the loss itself, because the fear is vague, monstrous, and infinite. The reality, when examined calmly, is a series of practical problems to be solved. Practicing this once a week strips the fear of its fangs. It also has a beautiful side effect: profound gratitude. When you return from this mental exercise to your actual reality, the simple fact of having a job, a home, and food on the table feels like an incredible gift. We've now built our defense against impulsivity and fear. It is time to go on the offensive, to use this newfound clarity to define what victory in this game actually looks like. Our culture's definition of financial success is dangerously simple. More income, more assets, more square footage, more horsepower. But this is a trap. The desire for more is a bottomless pit, a horizon that recedes as you approach it. The Stoics understood that true wealth is not about having a great deal, but about wanting very little. As Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." The most powerful financial move you can make is to define your enough. Enough is not a number dictated by society or your social media feed. It is a deeply personal boundary, a fortress wall you build against the endless siege of consumer desire. It is the point at which your needs are met, your future is reasonably secure, and you have the resources to pursue what you truly value. Anything beyond enough is a bonus, not a necessity, and certainly not worth sacrificing your peace of mind for. This requires you to know what you actually value. Is it freedom to control your time? Is it security for your family? Is it the ability to learn and travel? Write down your top 3 to 5 core values. These are your constitution. For the next month, before every single purchase, ask a simple question. Does this expense serve one of my core values? You will be shocked at how much of your spending is driven not by your values, but by boredom, impulse, or the desire to impress people you don't even like. When you are tempted to upgrade a perfectly functional phone or car, you can now hold that desire up to the light of your values. Does this purchase align with your goal of long-term independence? Or is it a fleeting desire manufactured by an advertising agency? When you have a clear definition of enough, based on your own values, the siren song of more loses its power. You are no longer playing their game. You are playing yours. Knowing your values is the map. But the path of daily life is littered with ambushes, emails, notifications, and social pressures designed to derail you. Willpower is a finite resource. A wise person does not rely on it. Instead, they architect their environment to make virtuous financial choices the easy, default path. As Epictetus wisely advised, we should avoid temptations that are stronger than us, just as we would avoid a dangerous cliff. It is easier to avoid temptation than to resist it. Consider the person who constantly overspends on food delivery. The solution isn't to just try harder to resist. The solution is to delete the apps from their phone. Unsubscribe from the promotional emails. Block the websites. Plan simple, healthy meals for the week. By removing the trigger, you remove the battle. You don't need discipline if the temptation doesn't exist in your immediate environment. Apply this architectural thinking to your entire financial life. Automate your savings and investments so the money is whisked away to your future self before your present self even has a chance to spend it. Set up your banking apps to require an extra password or step, adding a moment of friction that can deter an impulsive check. Unsubscribe from the 5 retail email lists that cause you the most trouble. Unfollow the social media accounts that exist only to make you feel inadequate and desirous. Each of these small changes is like laying a single brick in the wall of your fortress. Individually, they seem minor. Collectively, they create an environment where your financial goals are protected and your progress becomes almost effortless. You free up immense mental energy once you stop fighting the same battles every single day. Your environment is now secure. But how do you handle the emotional fallout from external noise? The friend who gets rich on a speculative bet, or the family member who criticizes your frugal choices? We live in an age of constant financial noise. News headlines scream about the next hot stock. Colleagues whisper about their cryptocurrency gains. The fear of missing out, FOMO, is a powerful, primal force that can wreck even the most carefully constructed financial plan. Stoicism offers a potent antidote, treating the opinions and financial outcomes of others as indifference. They are things entirely outside of your control and have absolutely no bearing on your character, your plan, or your inner peace. When you feel that intense pressure to join the herd, to chase a speculative investment because everyone else is, ask yourself the question Marcus Aurelius often asked himself: does what they do, or what they say of me, make me a better person? Does buying into a risky asset because your neighbor did it make you more virtuous, more rational, more aligned with your own goals? The answer is always no. Their path is not your path. Their luck is not your skill. To insulate yourself, create a 1-page investment policy statement. This is your personal financial constitution. Write down your goals, your time horizon, your tolerance for risk, and the specific rules you will follow. For example, I will invest only in diversified, low-cost index funds. I will not invest in anything I do not understand. I will not sell in a panic. Before making any investment decision, you are required to read this document. It is your anchor in a stormy sea of hype. Limit your exposure to the noise. Schedule a specific 15-minute block each day or every few days to check financial news. The rest of the time, tune it out. Your goal is not to have an opinion on every market fluctuation, but to execute your plan with serene consistency. You are trading the short-lived thrill of the gamble for the deep, lasting satisfaction of discipline and control. We've learned to ignore the external noise. Now, we must turn inward to master our most challenging opponent, our own ingrained desire for comfort. Our fear of financial hardship is not just a fear of lacking things, it is a fear of discomfort. We have become so accustomed to ease and convenience that the thought of going without it feels catastrophic. The Stoics practiced a powerful antidote: voluntary discomfort. By deliberately and temporarily embracing small hardships, we train our minds and bodies to handle real, involuntary adversity. We break the chains of comfort that keep us weak. Seneca famously described his own practice of living for a few days each month on the cheapest fare, stale bread and water, and sleeping on the floor. He did this not because he was poor, but to ask himself, is this the condition that I so feared? He always came to the same conclusion. The reality of the hardship was far less terrible than the fear of it. It not only strengthened his resilience, but also amplified his gratitude for his normal life. You can adapt this practice for the modern world. For 1 weekend a month, intentionally live on a bare-bones budget. Cook simple meals of rice and beans. Forgo all paid entertainment and find joy in walks, reading, or conversation. Take a cold shower to prove to your mind that you can withstand discomfort and feel invigorated by it. These small acts of self-imposed austerity are like a vaccine against the fear of poverty. The immediate benefit is a profound shift in perspective. You realize how little you truly need to be content. The things you once considered necessities are revealed to be mere preferences. Your baseline for gratitude is reset. You gain a quiet confidence that if a real financial emergency were to strike, you would not just survive. You would have the mental fortitude to endure and adapt. This practice builds strength. Now let's learn how to use that strength to transform inevitable financial setbacks from sources of pain into sources of growth. No matter how well you plan, there will be setbacks. You will make a bad investment. You will face an unexpected expense that shatters your budget. You will lose a job. The typical reaction is anger, despair, and self-recrimination. The Stoic response is radically different. Amor fati, a love of one's fate. This does not mean being passive. It means not just accepting what has happened, but embracing it as the raw material for your own growth. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The obstacle is not blocking the path, it is the path. A devastating investment loss is not just a financial blow, it is a masterclass in risk management and emotional control, a lesson you will never forget. A sudden job loss is not just a crisis, it is an unexpected opportunity to reevaluate your career, learn new skills, or even start the business you've always dreamed of. Consider an expensive and unexpected car repair that ruins your monthly savings goal. The path of despair is to curse your luck and feel like a victim. The path of amor fati is to see it as the catalyst you needed. This event can be the fuel that finally motivates you to build a proper emergency fund. It can be the reason you learn basic car maintenance, saving you money for the rest of your life. The obstacle itself contained the seeds of your future resilience. When faced with a financial problem, big or small, train yourself to ask a new question. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What does this now make possible?" Reframe past mistakes not as failures, but as tuition paid for valuable wisdom. By choosing to see every event as a potential lesson, you become anti-fragile. You don't just survive shocks, you become stronger because of them. We have learned to embrace the past and present. Now, let's use a final Stoic lens to properly orient ourselves toward the future. We spend so much of our lives planning for a future that we treat as infinite. We put off the important things, starting to invest, writing a will, having crucial conversations about money with our loved ones, always assuming there will be a later. The Stoic practice of memento mori, remembering that you will die, is not morbid. It is the ultimate tool for clarity and focus. It is the ultimate deadline. Seneca observed, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." The awareness of our finite time on this earth forces us to ask the most important financial question of all: what truly matters? It cuts through the noise of status symbols and consumer trends and focuses the mind on legacy, on impact, on providing for what and who we genuinely love. Does this purchase, this investment, this use of my time and energy align with my most profound priorities? Contemplating our mortality creates a healthy sense of urgency. It pushes us to finally start that retirement fund, because later is not guaranteed. It motivates us to organize our financial affairs, not for our own sake, but as an act of love and service to the family we will one day leave behind. It makes the trivial desires of the ego, the fancier car, the bigger house, seem laughably unimportant compared to the goal of living a virtuous, meaningful life with the time we have. You can make this practice tangible. Place a simple object on your desk, a small stone, an hourglass, a photo, that reminds you of the precious and fleeting nature of time. When planning your week, ask, if I knew my time was limited, is this how I would allocate my resources? This perspective doesn't create anxiety, it creates intention. It is the ultimate filter for distinguishing between what is merely urgent and what is truly important. We now have the complete mindset. In our final step, we will integrate these powerful practices into a simple, daily routine for lasting financial peace. Wisdom is not found in a book or a video. It is forged in the crucible of daily practice. Financial mastery is not the result of a single brilliant decision, but the cumulative effect of small, virtuous habits repeated day after day. As Epictetus reminded his students, philosophy is not about memorizing quotes, but about living differently. This is how we build a system for a lifetime of financial serenity. Your new routine can be simple. It does not require spreadsheets or complex software. Only 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening. In the morning, before you check your phone or expose yourself to the world's demands, take a moment to prepare your mind. Review your core values. Contemplate one potential financial challenge you might face today, a temptation to spend, a piece of bad news, and visualize yourself responding not with emotion, but with reason and virtue. This is your mental armor for the day. In the evening, conduct a gentle review. Look back on the financial decisions you made. Did they align with your values? Was there a moment where an unexamined judgment led you astray? Don't judge yourself harshly. Simply observe. What did you learn from that impulse buy? What did you learn from successfully resisting a temptation? This is not about creating a perfect record. It is about creating a cycle of continuous learning and improvement. This daily practice is the engine of your new financial life. It shifts your focus from the external, your account balance, the market's performance, to the internal, the quality of your judgments and the integrity of your actions. It is the slow, steady work of transforming your relationship with money from one of anxiety and reaction into one of intention and peace. We have journeyed from the raw pain of a declined card to the quiet strength of a purpose-driven financial life. We have seen that the true battle is not fought on Wall Street, but in the quiet theater of our own minds. We have learned to pause, to question our impulses, to prepare for adversity, and to define wealth on our own terms. This is not a quick fix for getting rich. It is a timeless blueprint for finding freedom. Your journey of practice begins now. It begins with the next financial decision you make, however small. It is a commitment not to a number in a bank account, but to a state of being, tranquil, resilient, and free. The work is not easy, but the reward is not more money. The reward is a quiet mind. What is the one financial story you have been telling yourself that you will now begin to question?